Hello and welcome to Photo Feedback Forum. My name is Dak. I will be your critiquer for this episode and really all the episodes because this is what I do. I hang out in my basement and I critique photos. Yes, yep, that is a little sad. I would agree, but I do get some enjoyment out of it. It actually helps me learn. Hopefully it'll enlighten you. We have this image right here sent in by Alun. Alun. It's A-L-U-N. I think the pronunciation is heavy on the A-L, less on the U-N. Alun. So thank you very much for sending in this image. If you have an image you'd like me to take a look at, please use this link here. It's also in the description. It's easy enough. There's a form. You attach a photo, and I get it. And then critique it. All right. Along with critiquing and giving specific points for various factors in this image, I'm going to talk a little also about photo judging in general and what you either have come across or might come across if you submit photos into contests. We'll jump into that right at the middle, right? I want to get into the technical stuff, and then I'll elaborate more. Okay, here is the photo we're going to be looking at. Here are the criteria that I'm going to be judging on. And here's our first score. Give it an 18 out of 20 for composition here. Love the low angle here. We are at just above water level. Gets us that great reflection. Little tight here, right around the tail feather there. So that's what I'm going to give it give it an 18 there. At the end, I've played around with some different compositions, some cropping ratios. I can show you a little before and after on how it could look with different cropping. All right, lighting, 18. Solid lighting, nice, even. It's not harsh. Again, just the evenness really helps the quietness of the image and allows for the reflection to be just perfect. So 18, it's, again, at the end, I'm going to show you a picture or show you what it could look like if it was boosted up just at a half stop to a stop, and I think it pops a little bit more. Again, we'll take a look at the end at the end of this episode with that. Technical. I mean, if I had more to give than 20, I probably would. So this is so all of the in-camera stuff, obviously spot on. I mean, we have a nice depth of field, super sharp. The exposure overall is good. I think in post, I think we can tweak it a little bit, but from a technical standpoint, I'm going to give it a 20. The other part of technical that isn't always addressed by judges is the animal, especially with wildlife and birds. So Alun provided the title in the title that this is a bearded reedling, and I was not familiar with it, so I did a little research on that and found that these are very difficult birds to photograph. They're very flighty, very twitchy. So the fact that Alun was able to capture such a magical moment here, that's the technical is the camera stuff and the photographer knowing where to go and how to address a particular subject. So that's where this one gets a technical. That's not always the case. Had the name of the bird not been included, I don't know that. Well, I certainly would not have known that this was a difficult bird to photograph. So it gave me a little background, gave me some research stuff to do, and it paid off. So 20 for impact. Good job. Or for technical. For impact, 18. It's just kissing the water. Just getting ready to kiss the water. That's very nice. And then also that's a pretty good story there. I was debating on impact and storytelling. Should those be 17? I mean, it's more than a bird on a stick. So that's the I think the dividing line. A bird on a stick probably would have been a 16, maybe in a 15 for storytelling or impact. Even like technically great images of birds on a stick end up lacking in the impact and storytelling categories. Other judges, maybe aren't going to rate impact and storytelling as high. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're submitting photos, that you're never sure what kind of Yahoo judge you're going to get, what kind of background they have, what kind of knowledge they have. So if you end up with a low score in an image that you think should have scored better, just blame the judge and enjoy your photo. All right. So collectively, this one gets a 92. Alan, thank you so much for sending this in. This was fun to critique and talk about. Now, what can be done with a technically perfect image? There's always a little wiggle room here. So here's the original, and as I mentioned, I thought the crop was a little bit tight on the tail feathers. So like, well, what would happen if it was a square crop? So I used Gen Fill, expanded it out so I can get a square crop. It did not work. In my mind, it was going to work, but the reality is this certainly does not work. So then I went the other extreme. I gave it a 9x16 crop. Again, just using the existing image, and way too tight. It's interesting, but not too tight. So for me, the Goldilocks crop is actually going to be a 4x5. I think this allows, enough breathing room over here. If we were on thirds here, it brings it over a little bit closer to that third. It's not quite centered, and I think this is a arguably a better composition. If those pixels weren't there, then you have what you have. But if you do have a little extra room over on the left, I would recommend recropping. And then the other thing that I was looking at is I mentioned about raising it a half stop or a stop in post here. So here's the original, and then here it is. And I'm not sure how well it's going to come over on with the YouTube compression, but this is the before, this is the after. So I boosted the exposure here, and I also lowered the exposure in the background, and I overall, and also did a little extra there and there to ensure that those reeds were not competing with our star subject here. So it knocked the background down, raised the exposure, and then here is a side by side, and I think it just brings out a little more pop, a little more color. Hope you don't mind me playing around with your image there, Alan, but I found it useful to let photographers know that you can always tweak an image. It may not be to your liking, but there's something to at least experiment with, and that's what I did here. So if anybody has an image they'd like me to take a look at, please use this link here. It's also in the description. Fill out the form, send me that image, and also like and subscribe. That'll also be fun. Thanks so much for your time. Have a good night or morning or whatever. See ya. Bye-bye. I got to work on an ending.